Ah, perfect. Yeah. So my name is John Shark. I should be saying Shark every day. The founder of Youth Mentors and VCs as well. Um, I'm also a founder of a manufacturing company called Rico Amo. So Rico Amo is in manufacturing of coconut products back there in Watamu, Kilifi. If you like anything the beach by the beach,
Wow.
I'm the go-to guy.
Yeah, amazing.
Yes. So that is what I do personally. And yeah, maybe Munene can do some bit of introduction about himself as well.
Uh, Hi,
Hi.
my name is Munene Kinoti. I am the founder of Alcanex.
Mhm.
Um, those wonderful posts that you usually see on LinkedIn on the Youth Mentors page,
Mhm.
that's my company that does that.
Amazing. Good
Yeah.
job. I love
So
it. I
yeah,
love that you did on my poster. I was like, yo, is this me?
yeah, yeah,
Really, yes, I
yeah.
love it.
So like my I've been drawing and writing for close to six years, 6 years, 6 years on and off. And from there now, the creative spark ventured me into media and then finance and then commerce. So I saw
Mhm.
how could I leverage my creativity into the world of business.
Right.
So majority of the time naonanga watu majority of the things that I usually posted online are usually very mediocre. Yeah.
Mm.
So I linked up with Shaq here and I was like, you know what? Me, I hate that word local. I hate things being looking local. And I want us to be international. I want us to take us to the next level. Anytime anybody is associated with us, they know they're in another level. So, yeah. Besides that, Alcan is a media, finance, and commerce. We want to venture into media. We are now in media. We're going into finance and commerce. So yeah, and also co-founder of Youth Mentors and VCs. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's why we're here. We are here
I
for you to build bridges to you and your knowledge and your vast knowledge.
That's amazing. You guys are doing an excellent job. Well
Yeah,
done. Well
yeah.
done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That poster, this guy came up with it in like an hour. I was like, this guy's a genius.
That poster was legit. In fact, a couple of people kept asking me, so what is this new thing? I'm like, what new thing? Simply in the poster. And I had to keep on explaining. I'm like, okay, so these guys reached out, they're all youth mentors and VCs. It was really, really nice. It was very catchy, and also professionally done. I really love your work. It was really good. I loved it.
Thank you so much.
So
Yeah.
we aim to make our mentors just look good. That's our aim. It's not a one-time thing. Actually, we'll be doing that on so many times. You might think it's over, but we still have one picture of you that we're gonna use still. So one day you might see just us coming up with another poster. You might post an event, we might reshare it, we might even want to make it look even way better. So it's going to be a continuous thing over and over again, you know?
I, yeah, that's encouraging. I really
Yeah.
love that.
So now it's your time. We are now here to listen to you all through.
Yeah.
Maybe now you can introduce yourself and now we run.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I must say thank you very much for this opportunity. It was very surprising when I got the message. I was like, okay, who are these guys? Let me check out your LinkedIn page. I checked out, I liked what you guys are doing. And for me, mentorship is very catchy. Anything to do with mentorship, I quickly just pick up. People who know me know I'm very passionate about mentorship. So it was a privilege to be considered as part of your network. Well, I think I had shared everything about me, or at least in a nutshell, who I am, who Joanne is. But yeah, I'm born again. I love Jesus. And I am born and bred in Nairobi, a middle child. But many people tend to think I'm the firstborn. When you see me and my elder sister, people tend to assume I'm the firstborn. Maybe it's because I'm very forward in how I do things. Again, as I'd shared in my profile, there are certain values that just get me going. Excellence, godliness. Of course, my faith is my highest value.
Yeah.
Things to do with service, things to do with learning, growth. I'm very, very passionate about these things. Professionally, I used to work in government. I worked in government for a very long, okay, not very long, but a long time. But before that, I'd also done a short stint in corporate Kenya. My very first job was in a design company in Westlands. I'd never known, I think it was really the eye opener, like how billboards are made, all of that. I was just fresh from campus. So that was a good experience. After that, I worked in a travel agency because I have a bit of background with travel. And then I got into government full time. And I worked with, in many of my positions, I worked with people a lot. Like even with travel, I used to organize group trips to go to Israel, to go to Egypt, South Africa. When I came to government, the organization, the office I was working for, my boss was very passionate about women economic empowerment, young people, children. So I was always finding myself in those spaces where I was working with, vulnerable people. And so my passion for working with people, I think, really escalated from that point. And so when I decided to leave, and I know that really touches on our first question, I was given a whole list of questions by Shadi.
Yeah.
I guess I'll just dive into that. You asked what inspired me to transition from public service to life and leadership. To be honest, it was not a very natural transition in terms of, okay, now I'm leaving this to go to this. It was very unexpected because I knew I would work in government longer. But the problem is, or maybe it's a good problem, I look at it as such. I'm that kind of a person who has to slay new giants. I have to conquer new mountains. And I'd gotten to a place in my career where none of that was happening. There was nothing keeping me challenged. Me, I love a new challenge. I love things to motivate me. I love saying, okay, so what's next? We've done this, we've done this, we've done this. So what are we doing next? And I felt I was in a place where I was on a plateau. And I felt, you know what, this might be dangerous for me as Joanne because I'm not growing. And for me, not growing means not learning. So that was a challenge. And I had to make a very, very tough decision. It was not easy. It was not even a decision that was well supported. But I knew for the sake of my sanity, I will need to do something drastic for me to get to where I know I have the capacity to be in. So I left my work in 2020. That time, I don't know whether you guys are familiar with this phrase, the Great Resignation. It was a movement that was happening from 19. Yeah, Monene.
Yeah.
And people were just quitting their jobs.
Yeah.
I think with the pandemic, there was a lot of realization that fell on people. When people were at home and you start wondering, what am I doing with my life? Do I really love this job? So many people quit their jobs. And I was part of that movement. And they say millions of people left their work. And I made a difficult decision. I left my work. And in the course of that, I was seeking God. I'm like, okay, God, I have made a very drastic decision and I have zero backup plan. I'm a risk taker by nature. So I was like, you know what? God, me, I'm falling in your hands. Now you're going to figure me out. Where you're going, we go. And so as I was just seeking God and I was praying and I was fasting, I landed upon a journal I'd written in 2016. And this was 2020. I landed upon a journal I'd written, and this journal I'd written that I wanted to be a coach. The truth is, in 2016, I didn't even know what a coach was. I had zero clue. But somehow I just thought a coach was a motivational speaker. You inspire people, you challenge people. And I knew that's something I would love to do. So I decided when I landed on that journal, I was like, this is so strange. Because I had said in the journal that when I turn 30, when I turn 33, I would want to be my own boss. I would want to be coaching. I'd want to be working with young people. And so 2020 was my 33rd year. And I was like, okay, this is interesting, the power of journaling. So I decided to explore that path. And that's how I ended up in coaching, in a nutshell. And I always say that coaching chose me, because even how I landed in the institution that I did my coaching training, it was really just serendipity, if I could put it that way. It was not something I'd planned. I'd never even known about that institution. At that time, I was looking at other international organizations, but I just met someone in the most amazing ways, and she was the president of a coaching company. I joined in, and yeah, it's been a beautiful journey ever since. I love, love, love my work in coaching, and it has opened so many other doors for me. But I think besides just that element of wanting to shift things and challenge myself, I think I was also a little bit burnt out. The nature of my work when I was in government was quite hectic. I used to travel a lot. I used to push very long hours. So I was quite burnt out, and I needed to take a sabbatical to rest, to recalibrate, reconfigure, figure out where I'm going. So there was just a couple of factors at play, but then it still just worked out beautifully. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Me, I just want to get to this aspect that you really insisted of Christianity. Where did that come from?
To be honest, the Christianity part came from my mom. I was raised I had both my parents, but my father was not a believer, but my mom was, ever since I was an infant, I would say. So we grew up in a very strict Christian household. And of course, back in the day, it was almost forced upon us, in that sense of, we are going to church, we are going to kesha, we are doing this. My mom used to host Bible study in her house for years, decades actually. So we grew up knowing God all our lives. But I think until I became an adult is when I really understood, okay, I need to know God for myself, not just through the eyes of my mom. So I would say my mom was the biggest influencer for me to become a believer. The Bible says that when you raise a child in the ways of God, even when they're old, they won't depart from it. Have I always walked as a Christian? Not at all. There was a stint where I was doing my own thing, but then God has his way of bringing you back. So it was full circle. And yeah, I am where I am because of him. And I am never ashamed to talk about God. I know many people in the marketplace are very wary of, oh, now do you really want to come out? I'm unashamed about it. Yeah, because it's who I am,
Yeah.
and I can't change that. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really want to go deeper in that, but
Absolutely.
I
And you're
mean,
very
today,
welcome. We usually have a Bible study. I can invite you to a Bible study. Mukuje na monene. You are very welcome. I go to a Bible study twice every week. Just where I stay, and yeah, it's an amazing, amazing. We're just 5 of us, but it's been an amazing forum for me to be a part of, especially at a time that was very difficult in my life. So
yeah, maybe okay.
Ready.
Munene, just one more before we continue. One more.
Okay,
You
it's
mentioned
okay.
Okay.
about backsliding. I mean, oftentimes you said you have moments where you just don't walk as a Christian. So those moments of backsliding, because it has ever happened to me, and God is someone not to joke with. You will have to face the consequences. Do you have such moments where you feel like you lost track and you had to come back to God, and it really cost you big time for you moving away from listening to God and maybe Christianity?
100%. I would say in my 20s, it was a big challenge. First of all, I got a very high level job at a young age, and it was a job that came with a lot of money, and a lot of work. And so sometimes when you combine money with the power, with influence, and a lot of mastarehe, it's very easy. It's not always, but it's very easy to start moving away from God. And for me, that stage in my 20s, even very early 30s, I was very comfortable. I had money. I was traveling all over the world. Did I really need God? Of course, I knew I needed God, but God became secondary in my life. And so God has a way of teaching you lessons. And if you don't learn them for yourself, you're going to learn them through a very tough season. So for me, when I left work in 2020, things had to shift for me. And I had to realize, yeah, kumbe God is the one who was sustaining me, because I went through a season of no money, and I was used to having a lot of money. I was used to a certain lifestyle. I was used to traveling where I wanted to go. So God was like, hey, I'll teach you lessons. This money that you have too much more than me, I will show you that money can come and money can go. So that was my experience, because for me, money was one of my highest things. I needed to have money to feel secure, to feel confident, to feel like I'm someone. But I went through a season of no money. And God was like, let's see what you're going to do. And I had to get back to a place of returning back to God fully. I had to go through repentance and, just asking God to forgive me for the many things that I had done that I knew were displeasing in His sight. I also go to a place of trusting God afresh. Because now when you're dependent on God and you don't have a salary, you're like, God, rent, sasa ni wewe. Come through.
Yeah.
And I was not used to that. My growing up, at least most of our lives, we had been comfortable. Our dad also worked in government, very high level job. So we were very comfortable. So I was not used to this phase of I don't have, that if I want to do something, I don't have, It was very, very difficult. I went through serious depression. I struggled even with suicidal thoughts. I'm not ashamed to say it because it was my journey. I went through a very tough time, a lot of rejection from friends, because also when you're going through tough times is when you realize who is very genuine in your life. People love you when you have money. People love you when you can go out for sherehe, you can do stuff for them. I was a big shot in government back in the days. But now when I left and everybody knew I had left, the phone calls stopped coming, the invites stopped coming. You try calling someone, maybe even just saying hi, somebody assumes maybe you're asking for money. So I went through a very lonely season, but I do believe God does His best work. Of course, all of God's work is best, but He does His best work in those seasons. And for me, He had to reconfigure me a whole new way and teach me, Joanne, I will need you to change your ways. So I had to change my ways. I had to break off from certain associations. I had to learn to trust God afresh. I had to learn to walk with Him. I had to learn to read the Bible for myself. Going to church, setting time aside every day to spend time with God. And it has been an amazing, amazing journey. I tell God He's my best friend, because when all other friends went, He's the only one who remained.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Alan, this one can't let it go, because I know there's so many people who backslide, me being one of them. And even when I listen to John, I'm just like, oh God, I'm not alone. So yeah, I know so many people this one will touch them. Yeah.
Actually, what she said has resonated so well with me. Like when the money stops flowing, the calls stop coming. That's when
People
100%
God, yeah, watu wana disappear, watu wana
disappear. Watu all of a sudden wako busy. Unapigia mtu ati mtu anasema acha nikupigie, niko kwa meeting, niko and they will not.
committing.
Sometimes people just assume you're asking for money, and maybe it's very innocent. You're just checking in.
Yeah,
Human nature, even the Bible says in the book of Proverbs that a rich man has many friends, but a poor man is even shunned by his relatives.
yeah,
When you're wealthy, when you're doing good, even your relatives are good. Ukienda ushago, machapo zinapikwa, mbuzi itachinjwa, because people know you're going to make it rain. But let me tell you, the day you are broke, the day you don't have. Me, I had a very big friend circle. My friend circle now is, I think, maybe 2 or 3 friends. People fell out. And I was like, God, it's okay. It's okay. God, I don't need that many people in my life. It's okay. Whoever you need to go, let them go. Whoever needs to remain for where you're taking me, then let them remain. And I have learned to appreciate those who remained. I have learned to honor them. They have stood with me in very difficult moments when I couldn't afford my rent. Someone would just call me, hey, Jojo, how are you? I was just thinking about you. Let me pitia your place. Someone comes with serious shopping, money, without me asking. And so that is really what it means even to trust God. And the thing, Shaka would say, and Monene, is that many times when we go away from God or when we backslide, we struggle. Give me 1 second. Let me put my tokens. I had forgotten to put my tokens in the morning.
Okay.
Give me, I know they'll just, my tokens beep for like the longest. Give me 1 second.
All
Okay.
right.
Big Shark.
Unene,
Yeah.
if you
Man,
go away from the Lord they forgive you. You dey pay.
kabla nimeingia hii meeting,
Uh,
stima zimefanya hiyo kitu tena.
tena. What?
It's like, no.
You can't do me like this.
So like, sasa mimi nilikuwa nishaeka mashini hivi, nikiibia mahali, niambie msee wacha nikuwekee credit. Niko na tu chwani pekee, wacha nikuwekee credit. Chwani, nipe data yako, niingie hii meeting. Siwezi hata hii meeting. Alafu vile tu naishia hivi, stima zikakaa. So inabidi sana.
What?
I'm like,
What?
oh, what is going on?
Sorry, guys.
It's okay.
Okay, you're back. Yeah. All right.
I'm sorry, I tried to put in the tokens. Our tokens start beeping from 19. They are super annoying.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
So
Now, okay.
I think that many times when we leave God, we are very quick to think now maybe God will punish me or he won't accept me, or God is really a father and he's a friend. And I think when we look at him as such, yes, there are some times where God will allow us to have to face consequences, but he's a father and he will even be there with you as you're facing those consequences. And he never even deals with us as we deserve, you know. So I always tell people falling back, it can happen even to the best of the best. We've seen pastors who've had, you know, issues. We've seen people who are the strongest in salvation falling back. But the Bible says that a righteous man falls 7 times, but, you know, he rises up again. So it's not always a straight walk of now you love God, you will love God from here to Timbuktu. There are certain times where you will fall off. There are certain times where you will be tempted to go in another direction. But you know what? God is that loving and caring Father. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
Myself, I have a question. Ever since you started the coaching and you mentor also, yeah?
A lot.
Yeah. So, what is one of the things that you've seen is lacking in people that people actually need the mentoring for? What is one of the things that people don't realize they need that they actually do need, and how have you addressed that ever since you started?
I would say the biggest thing that I realized, many young people, because I do a lot of youth mentorship, the most common thing I've realized people lack is self-awareness. People don't know themselves very well, Kimoti. Like people think they do, but they don't. And when I talk about self-awareness, I mean having a meeting with self and asking yourself, what do I really want? Where am I going? What do I like? What do I not like? What do I hate in relationships? What are my pet peeves? It means digging in. And many people lack that in the sense that when one of the most common things we ask people, what do you want? I want to succeed. I want to be successful. But what does that really mean? What does success mean for you? Because success for you, Monene, may be different from success for me, you know? What does it mean? I want to have a lot of money. For what? Why do you want to have a lot of money? You know? And the thing is, when you really dig deep, and because one of the things, coaching is all about questions. In coaching, we borrow someone's life through questions. And when you ask, for instance, Monene, if you were to tell me, I want to have $3 million, I would ask you, so what would having $3 million do for you? It would ta. So when you tell me these things, I'm like, so why is it important for you to have ta? You know? Many people don't ask themselves those questions. People don't know who they are. That's why you find people getting into relationships or attracting a certain kind of a person, but you're not asking yourself, okay, I'm the common denominator here. What is it about me that is attracting these kinds of people? Or like, for instance, let me use an example that Shak had shared earlier about your colleague, the one who is a very serious introvert that doesn't want to, come to the forefront. Sometimes some of those things we tell ourselves, I'm an introvert. I'm an introvert by nature. But sometimes I realized it was not just being an introvert, it was also me holding myself back by certain limiting beliefs. I'm like, well, by putting myself out there, now people will know my business, and people, what if I fail? I realized I had a fear of failure, and I didn't know. I just used to say, no, me, I don't do those things. Hey, me, I don't post on socials. What if I fail? Then people, I also had a problem of I cared too much what people thought about me. So when we begin to interrogate ourselves and understand who we really are, then Onena will be able to have very clear direction on where we are going. Our goals will also become much clearer. We will know what we stand for and what we cannot stand. And that way, it will give your life more purpose, more meaning. So young people struggle with this, and more so, especially with Gen Zers and now Gen Alphas, because these guys have grown up in an influencer generation. We are following Kim Kardashian, we are following Nicki Minaj, we are following Beyonce. What do? They are doing this diet. I'm getting onto the diet. They are dressing like this. I'm starting to dress like them. But we don't interrogate ourselves to find out, who am I really? And that's why when Shak was asking me about a personal quote, for me, that quote about authenticity, the best gift I can give this world is being my authentic self. Because the thing is, Monene, I can only be excellent or the best at being me. If I try to be like you, Monene, I will never be Monene. And I will never be as good as Monene, because God created one Monene and one Joan, So people are lacking that authenticity. And really, it stems from a lack of self-awareness. Yeah.
Wow. Very,
Wow.
very direct.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you okay, maybe let me ask this one. Can you share a memorable coaching success story where you help someone unlock their potential?
I do. I do consider all my coaching stories a success, but one that came out was this lady just at the beginning of my coaching journey. And she was significantly older. She was married. She had a child. She was ideally not my coaching clientele. Yeah. Because most of my clientele is in the range of 30s or early 30s or late 20s. But this woman was significantly older than me. And she was also very skeptic about coaching. She had had stories about coaching, and I think she had even had like one coaching experience. And this person kept on going back to the past of, oh, now, no. And therapy tends to do that a lot, but coaching doesn't look much in the past. Coaching is where we are and where we are going, but therapy tends to go backwards. What happened to you in your childhood? If you watch movies, many movies talk about, so how was your childhood, because then also those formative years influence how we turn out as adults. So this lady was very skeptical when she came into a coaching session, and she was a referral from a relative who's a friend of mine. I took it as a challenge, and I said, let's see what we are able to do here together. And we did just, I think, 5 or 6 sessions just. And by the time this client was starting, she was feeling very stuck. She was in a situation that she just didn't know how to navigate. She had left work. She was thinking of going into consultancy, but she had a lot of limiting beliefs that were holding her back. So through coaching, we're able to address those beliefs. We're able to unpack them. We're able to reframe them. She had a big issue of procrastination. She also had a problem with time management. We worked on each of these issues in just those 5 sessions. By the time we were finishing with this client, she had gotten a wonderful, well-paying consultancy. Her mindset about consultancy had shifted completely. Number 2, she was venturing into a big business in farming, something she never thought she could ever do before. But now she started looking into her capacity, like, what is holding me back? Nothing. She was able to venture into that. Number 3, stuff that she had put on for so long, like training courses that she had started, never finished. By the time we were finishing, she'd done, I think, 3 or 4 courses, gotten credentials. So, and she was a much happier person. I remember when we were doing our final evaluation session, she was so happy. I was just looking at her and I'm like, is this the same lady I met a couple of months back? She was different. She was happier. She was more fulfilled. She had more hope. She was just a completely transformed person. So anytime I think about it, and I'm like, is my work really having impact? I think about it and I'm like, I do believe it is. But at the end of the day, I do understand as a coach that it's not my work. It's just me partnering with a client, but it is them doing the work. Mine is to facilitate them. Mine is to challenge them. Mine is to hold them to accountability, is to raise their standards. But at the end of the day, it's a client who does the job. So that's one of my favorite stories. Yeah.
Amazing. You're already getting one success story here who's being someone who's being transformed.
Yeah.
I'm happy to hear that.
So let me ask, what is one of the most, this is a two-part question, yeah? What is one of the most dangerous character traits you can run into as a coach? And what is the most, what's it called? A character trait that once you find in coaching, you're like, hey, you don't need coaching. Have you ever had to turn down a client because it's like you yourself, you don't need coaching, you just need to do one-on-one? And then what is the one character trait that's so dangerous? You're like, hey, you need coaching, and how do you identify it immediately? Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let me start with the last one. At least in my case, I do thank God that I've not had to run into a client who I'm like, yo, you can't be coached. I do thank God I've not had that, but I do know other coaches who've run into that. I would say for a coach to turn down a client, it's either this client has deeper issues that would not necessarily be solved using coaching, because working with human development approaches are many: coaching, mentorship, therapy. These are all human development approaches. Yeah. And for instance, if a client today came to me and told me that they were abused as a child, I may not take on that client as a coach, but I will refer that client to a therapist, because therapy also has a capacity to deal with the trauma. And that is a traumatic experience. As a coach, I don't touch trauma. Yeah. Because trauma is also it's a very deep emotion. Grief, very deep emotions. And some of these things may not necessarily be addressed with where we are now and where we are going. They may need to backtrack to the past. So if a client comes to me today and tells me, Joanne, this and this happened, I will quickly want to refer them to a therapist, because then there could be a diagnostic nature of maybe depression. They're dealing with deeply embedded emotions such as sorrow, guilt, and those are best tackled by a therapist, because therapy has a diagnostic nature, and they could even prescribe medication to help maybe with issues such as anxiety. So ideally, I would refer such a client to another professional. But sometimes some clients can come into sessions with really bad behavior. And for me, a client who doesn't do the work is a client I might need to say, you know what, maybe this is not working. I would need for us to end this contract. Because at the end of the day, and I said this before, coaching is not about me as a coach coming to do your work as Monene. For instance, Monene, if you are my coaching client and we decide, okay, you're going to do A, B, C, D, because also coaching is very action-oriented. If the first time you come and you're like, oh yeah, by the coach, siku manage, sijui nilienda wapi nikafanya ni, I might let it pass the first time, but not a second time. In fact, I remember one of my coaches, because I have a coach as well, but a couple of them, in fact. I have a coach who once said that if you ever get into a coaching session with a client who hasn't done the assignment, don't take up that session at all. Tell the client, you've come. Did you do the work? No, we are done. We'll reschedule. go finish the work, then we come back. Because sometimes as clients, you find clients who tend to have procrastination habits. And procrastination is one of the biggest things I tend to see in coaching clients. So for me, one of the bad habits I don't entertain in my clients is not doing the work. I'm not going to come and do the work for you. It is you to do the work, because at the end of the day, we are weighing results, but the results come from you as a coachee. You're the one doing the work. Mine is to facilitate, to challenge, to motivate, to cheer you on, to keep you accountable. But at the end of the day, if you're not doing the work, then I also don't have work to do, you know? So for me, those are just some of the scenarios that if they pop up, I'm like, probably this is not working. Maybe you should consider working with someone else. Yeah.
Wow. It's not as smooth route as it seems to your clients, because it seems you just come and now, hey, guide me. But it's not like that, yeah?
Yeah, it isn't. There's an element of guiding, because coaches are guides, but there's an element of taking responsibility. Because the thing is, Shaq, many times people want to blame other people for not doing, or my boss, or my parents, or the economy, or the world, or the devil. We blame anything and everything. But we have to take responsibility also and say, okay, I think I have a procrastination issue. I need to face this thing. I need someone to help me navigate. And as a coach, I'm not saying that now you will be perfect from day one. No, we can come and say, you did 80% of the work. Why didn't you do the other 20%? You know what, Joan, I struggled. You know what, Joan, I felt lazy. Let's address that issue today and now, you know? So it's not saying that a client now has to come perfect. No, the reason they're coming to coaching many times is because they are finding that they're struggling with certain issues. But there has to be progress. There has to be growth. There has to be commitment. As a coach, you must want to actually succeed, and you must want to be very committed to what you're doing. Yeah.
All right. So what are some, maybe more, challenges you see individuals face when trying to achieve their goals, and how do you help them overcome these challenges?
Okay. So some of the most common challenges I see individuals facing when they're trying to achieve their goals, number one, I would say, is a lack of clarity. Sometimes people just come up with goals simply because everyone else is coming up with those goals, you know. Hashtag goals, hashtag I don't know what. No, we have so many hashtags, you know.
Yeah.
So goals are not personal to you as Shaq, you know. I want to do this and this. Why? Why do you want to do that? You know? So it's not personal. It's because now my body also did, or that's a trend, you know? So many people lack clarity on why they're setting goals. Yeah. The other thing I'd also say is people don't understand what their values are. Let me tell you, Shaq, if there's something that is driving your life, it is your values. And people don't understand this. I could do a whole webinar on values and value elicitation. What do I mean by values? Values are those things that you do that drive you, you know? I shared my values, excellence, service. When I'm coming up with goals, my goals must align with my values. When I'm saying that, oh yeah, I want to coach this number of clients, it is because I understand that I want to provide a service. I want to serve my clients. And when my goals are in alignment with my values, it is easier to achieve those goals. If you're trying to achieve goals that are not in alignment with your values, I will tell you for free, you are setting yourself up for failure at some point. You may start off, you may be excited, you know what, I'm doing this, I'm ticking boxes, but a time will come when you'll not be inspired anymore, you know? So you find that lack of clarity is a problem, also a misalignment between the goals and between goals and values. Yeah. Let me see if there's anything else I'd written, because I know I had written down, I think, 2 or 3 other things. I would also say sometimes it is, you know, issues to do with like mental barrier, limiting beliefs. Do you really believe that you're able to achieve that goal? Someone can say, me, I want to lose weight. It's a goal. But do you believe you can? Sometimes some people just We set goals, but we don't really believe we are able to do it because maybe we failed in the past. Maybe somebody said you'll fail, you know. So mental challenges, you know, mental barriers, things that are holding us back. That is one of the things, especially that one, kwanza, for mental barriers. It's a challenge. It holds many people back, and many people don't think about it. Like for me, I'll say I had a struggle at some point really losing weight because I didn't believe. I just believed I had bad eating habits, and that's just who I am as Joanne, but that's not true. So you question those beliefs, you challenge them. You're like, is that really true? Who said? Where is it
Is
written?
is there a specific time period where beliefs are changed? Does it have to take, like the way people say, 60 days, 21 days, 30 days? Is there like a specific time frame?
To be honest, I wouldn't say there's a specific time because also people are different. There are people who tend to do things faster like this. There are people who also take time. Every human being is very unique. But I do say that it all stems from what you believe. The Bible says that as a man thinks, so is he. Whatever you believe about yourself, Shaq, whether you know it or not, it is what manifests. Whatever you believe about yourself, it's not about circumstances. Circumstances will always change. But whatever you believe about yourself, that is what prevails, you know? And so there has to be a lot of mental work done to keep on reframing. You begin today, tomorrow you might find that you fall kidogo, but you continue. Within, it's a muscle. In fact, the brain is like a muscle that you have to keep working. You have to keep working. And there's something we call wiring and firing, where you have to, when people talk about rewiring your brain, it really is a
Mm.
thing. You have to rewire those neurons. So for instance, I'll give an example of myself. I used to eat a lot when I was in an emotional state. For instance, if I'm feeling sad or depressed, automatically I'd go for ice cream. So my brain had wired and fired that way, that if I'm sad, then I eat ice cream to feel better. So for me, that was my go-to. For some people, it's alcohol. Others, it's sex. Others, it's working out. It depends. And you see, that's how habits are formed. If you're feeling this way and you do this and it makes you feel good, the next time you're feeling like this, you'll want to do this again to feel good. That's how people even get addicted to drugs. You took it the first time, you felt really good, you no longer felt sad. You're like, you know what? This is working. So tomorrow, when you're feeling sad, you're like, but yesterday I took this and I felt better. Let me do it again. Habits begin. So your brain is like they call them neurons. So you build this one neuron by wiring and firing, a second one tomorrow, like that. So it becomes like a whole cable of networks. By the time you have to undo all of that, it's not a one-day thing. It might take time, but you also have to keep it. You have to keep working at it. So you have to keep unwiring and unfiring what was there and wiring and firing new things. I'm sad, you know what? Instead of eating ice cream, let me eat a banana. I'll still feel good. It's good sugar. I'll feel good. Tomorrow, I might be tempted to eat sugar, but I'm like, no, we continue with the banana. I might fall off, but the other day, I'll remind myself, no, I'm eating a banana. So it will take time. And that's why at times they say building habits can take time. Some people, it takes years. Some people, it takes the proverbial 21 days. So every individual is very unique. Yeah.
Maybe you could share how someone can change their beliefs towards money, where they can also wire and fire
Why
about their beliefs about money.
the first thing is to really understand and write
Yeah.
down what those beliefs are about money. Yeah.
Mm.
And many of those beliefs, we got them when we were young. And they could be from statements that our parents used to say of where pesa haikui kwa miti, you know,
Mm.
or for you
Mm.
to make money, you have to work really hard, or money is evil, you know. So I started my clients by saying, write it all down. Write down all your beliefs and look at them, like really look at them and you're like, Yani, this is actually what I believe about money. First of all, by writing and looking, you can be very surprised by what you have been believing without noticing that you believe it. So write it all down. And number two, once you've written it down, begin to interrogate and question for evidence. Tell yourself, is it really true that money is bad? Is it really, who said? Where is it written? Show me evidence that money is bad. You might say, oh, now so and so had money and then they became corrupt. But you might ask yourself, is it because of the money or is it because of this and this and this? Is it a circumstance that led them to become like that? And also, since Nani was like that, does that mean I'll also be like that? Begin to question and ask for evidence. Then the third thing, reframe those beliefs. Instead of saying now money is bad, you can say no, money is good as long as I'm using it for good. Turn. You know, reframe them, unpack them, question for evidence, then reframe them. And after you reframe them, start speaking out the new beliefs you have about money. You know, I've seen many people talk about money loving them attracting money. As I'm sleeping, money comes. And sometimes it can look like foolishness. At times it can look like, does that thing of manifesting really work? But also the Bible says that power of life and death is in your tongue. If you keep saying that money is bad, but you're saying no, money is good here, but you're speaking it here, that it's not good, it's not in alignment. So your thoughts have to also be in alignment with what you speak. I'm one person who doesn't like to say I'm broke. Even when I don't have money and someone asks me for money, I'm like, you know what? Let's touch base next week. I'm expecting something. I've not said I'm broke, and I'm not about to say that because I understand that my words have power. So I always put myself in a state of I'm expecting. I don't know where it's going to come from, but I'm expecting. It will come. The other day, funny enough, I think 2 or 3 days ago, I woke up and I was like, you know what? Money loves me. I attract money all the time. Do you know 2 or 3 people sent me money that day? People I hadn't spoken to for years. It was so funny. I was like, what? In fact, one of them I had to call out, like, wait, like maybe you've made a mistake. They were like, no, Jojo, I was just thinking about you. How are you doing? How is everything? When you are China, you and it was not little money. I was like, what do you think if you believe it in your mind? And that's why you find many coaches work with affirmations, to speak it. The more you continue speaking it, the more you continue believing it, the more these things will begin to work. It may not happen today. It may not even happen this year. But if it is here, it will shift your life.
Wow. The God of Joan locates me.
God
May
of-
3 people bless me with that money as well.
God locate you, Shaq.
Locate me. Okay, because of time, maybe I'll ask maybe 1 or 2 questions. My question will be, what would you advise youth? You know, not so many youth believe in mentorship, or most of them even don't know the way to go about mentorship. So what will you advise and tell the youth the importance of mentorship towards their growth?
Mentorship is like one of the most awesome things that ever happened to human beings. And I'll base it on a quote I had by this guy who was a German chancellor called, I think, Otto von Bismarck. And he said, only a fool learns from his own mistakes. A wise man learns from the mistakes and experiences of others. And many times you're like, experience. But the beauty about mentorship is that you don't have to make the mistakes. And I'm always very passionate when I'm talking even to people, young people, about money, relationships. And I'm like, I've gone ahead of you. Learn from me so that you don't have to make those same mistakes, So if you're in a position to get a mentor, to get a coach, to get someone to work with you, a support system, do it, and do it at all costs. It will pay off. Because then you are learning from someone who's taken those steps ahead of you. You're going to learn from their mistakes. You're going to learn from their success. You're going to learn from their experience. So that then you don't have to walk into the same pit holes that they walked into. When I look back at some of the mistakes I made with money when I was in my 20s, today I could write a book about money. Why? Because I ignored the advice of mentors I had. I had 2, 3 people in my life at that time who were very keen on my journey. And they were like, you know what, Joan? you should consider doing this. I remember one particular person told me to connect with a certain coach. At that time, that was 2015. I didn't even know what a coach was. But this person was very invested in me becoming. And they were like, I need you to hook up. She even hooked me up with this lady. I remember when I met the lady and I asked her how much it would cost. It was costing 300,000 at that time. I had the money. The money was not the issue. But I was like, now do I need someone to tell me? Me, I can do it. See, I can think for myself. Hey, if only I had listened, I believe many of the problems I have faced, I would never have faced in the first place. If only I had paid attention and listened to someone, you know? So when I'm coaching and when I'm mentoring, I tell young people, listen, if you have the opportunity to work with someone, jump at it. It will cost you your time. It'll cost you your energy. Sometimes it may cost you your money, but jump at it with your two legs and enter. Ingie. Because sometimes you will make epic mistakes that you could have avoided altogether if only you had listened. And I always say that there's a reason why God allowed for the Bible to be a book. The Bible isn't a song. The Bible isn't something that we just know was there. It's a book, a literal book. Why? And God allowed for stories, good stories and even bad stories of people to be written in that book. Why? So that we can learn from their mistakes. We can look and say, hey, Samson did what? Where? Let me tune myself so I don't get into those stories. You know, Joseph was able to resist temptation like this. This chick was coming onto him, but he decided, no, I'm not going to sin against God. God helped me to do that. There is a reason why God allowed success stories and even failure stories to be written in his word, that we are able to learn from them. So I would tell young people, if you're able to get a mentor, get a mentor. Today, me, I have coaches, I have mentors. Why? Because I'm like, the experience and the painful circumstances I've gone through, I don't wish it even on my worst enemy. And if only I had listened, I would be very far or a very different person. But you know what? I also interpret my failures as feedback. This is something I've even written in that book of mine, the book I co-authored with other co-authors. And one of my subtitles was Failure is Feedback. And for me, because I went through a lot of failure, I decided this thing will either kill me or I can learn from it. So for me, I chose, let me learn. And I learned, and I said, I will pass it on to the next generation. That's why for me, youth mentorship, I do it with my eyes closed. I do it when I'm tired. I do it when I'm sleepy. I do it. Because I understand if I'm able to help even one person on the face of this earth to not get into a trap that would destroy their life, then I will stand before God confidently and say, God, I did your work. So youth mentorship, 100% go for it.
Yeah. So in your book, it's I usually call data collection from failure. You've
100%.
sampled them there.
100%. I talk about just how I began my journey and the kind of coaching that I do. And then I've divided it into 5 subtopics. And one of my favorite ones actually there is failure is feedback. It was a very critical learning for me. Yeah. So that instead of wasting time, people waste a lot of time regretting, I wish I had then. Now. I was like, nah, I did it. It's done. I can go back and undo it. I can go back and change it. But I can start from where I am. I can own my mistake. I can take responsibility. Where I need to apologize, I'll apologize. Where I need to ask God for forgiveness, I'll ask him for forgiveness. And then I'm like, so what do I do differently next? How can I help someone else? Who have I become? What lessons have I learned? Then from there, we move on. There's no need to get stuck simply because you did. Yeah. And I don't allow my mistakes to define me.
I really maybe you can tell people about that book. Even now, when we post this, they just go and refer and also where to get that book.
Amazing. So This book is published by a company called Zion Pearl Publishers. They are on LinkedIn. And they reached out to me on LinkedIn just like you guys did. And they were like, hi, Joan, you're seeing the amazing work you're doing in coaching, and you're looking for women in different leadership spaces that can co-author a book. And so I'm in volume 4 of the She Leads book. Here is the book. So here it is, volume 4. And we are, I think, is it 18 authors? And I'm one of the co-authors of the book. The project manager of this project is called Mr. Radido, an amazing man. We call him a he for she, because he's a gentleman who really advocates for the voices of women to be heard in the marketplace. So our edition mostly focuses on women in coaching and training, and all of it is tied in the bow of leadership. So what is your leadership strategy as a coach? So every author wrote it in their own language, in their own way. But I wrote mine based on 5 presuppositions or 5 beliefs that are based on NLP coaching. NLP coaching is like a branch of coaching that really focuses a lot on your mental language and your behavior. Yeah. And so I wrote my chapter based on 5 major presuppositions of NLP. And I chose those 5 ones because they are very specific to my personal experience. Yeah. And one of them now is that one I've mentioned, failure is feedback. I would recommend for people to go and get the book. You can get the book in major bookstores. You can also reach out to the publishers. If you want, you can reach out to me also as an author. I do have books that I move around with at times when someone can say, give me your book. I always organize that. And you can also find it on Amazon if you want to have a digital copy. Yeah. So the book is available. It's an amazing, amazing, amazing resource. And we just hear these different voices in the marketplace, listen to some of the most amazing stories, learn from people's failures. It's a phenomenal, phenomenal piece of work. Yeah.
Yeah, Munene, I know someone called you. That's why you disappeared.
It's
Yeah,
okay.
there's some
Yes,
some
sir.
things that were happening. I had to address kidogo. So
Yeah,
for me, it's actually a final question. Majority, I hope Shaq has not asked this, so I hope I don't ask it. Yeah.
Best of luck with the
So,
question.
okay. So, majority of the time, people usually focus on, success. What's one of your? Do you have a failure story, and what you learned from the greatest lesson you learned from your failure story? Because I know a lot of successful people have gone through a lot of failure. So, yeah.
Okay. I like that one. I love that one because it's too money. Number one, many people don't talk about their failures.
Yeah.
We have been conditioned to be ashamed of failure. And also we at times people like to paint a very perfect picture of, I'm a self-made billionaire. I'm this, I'm that. First of all, I hate that term. There's no one who is self-made. Everybody has been helped by someone. So anytime someone starts with a self-made, I shut down. I'm like, no, you're not. Someone helped you. Your parents helped you. God is helping you. A teacher, a mentor, a coach. You are not self-made. It is input from different places. But I would give my failure story. I think the past 4 years I've reflected on many of them, but I'll talk about finances because this one was one of my biggest lessons. Again, as I said, in my 20s, had a lot of money, enjoyed it, made it rain, traveled. But I'm very girly. I love shoes, I love bags, I love clothes. My dad raised me that way. But the problem is, I failed to understand that God also requires us to be very wise stewards. All the money, Monene, that you have, or Shaq you have, or anyone else in this world has, whether people believe in God or not, it is God who blesses his people. It is God who gives us resources. And everything, the Bible says that everything in the earth belongs to God, including the money. And in my case, I was not a very good financial steward. I know probably you would know the story of Joseph. There was a 7 years of abundance and then 7 years of famine. I didn't think that that could be practical in my life. I'm like, well, me, I'm for abundance forever. But you see, wise people understand that when you get money, ideally, the point is to multiply it. You should increase it. They say your expenditure should never be more than just also what you're keeping. If you find that you're spending most, if not all of your money, then what are you remaining with? And that was my problem. First of all, there was the assurance of a salary, you know? So I was like, hata nikispendi, sinimelipo by 23rd. Next month 23rd, hata nikikopa kwa huyu na huyu, I'll sort it out next month. So my biggest challenge was that I was living beyond my means. And the issue is that I was living beyond my means, sometimes also to show people I needed to prove a point. At that time I was driving a Prado. I was a boss chick. But the problem is I was not being very authentic in how I was doing things, especially relating with money. And so when I left work, ideally, they say when you're leaving work, when you're transitioning careers, especially if it's not one job to another or one job to an already running business, they say at least have a buffer of 6 months to a year salary, so that then you have that time to play and figure out what do I need to do next. But in my case, I didn't have money. I didn't have savings. I had spent everything, And this was a painful lesson, because also you can't keep asking people for money. I had very rich friends, but they also have their own responsibilities. So for me, my lesson of failure with money, and I got to a place where I was in so much debt. I was living off of debt, and yet I had enjoyed a lot of years of abundance. And that is how you tend to see even in like celebrities or people who were on their mountain of success coming down really, really fast. And now we start doing harambes. Then you're like, see, this person needs to make money. What do they do with their money? Such kind of issues. We become poor stewards because you always think that life will be like that. Guess what? Sometimes life has curveballs. May not be that you spend badly. Sometimes an illness could come into the family, or a legal problem, or something that can just squander or finish all your reserves, And so my biggest failure when it comes to money is that I was a poor steward. I used to spend, and I was not even spending on things that were multiplying it. I was spending to make myself feel good, maybe prove a point that I'm making it. But when the time came and I needed to leave work and I needed to be sober, situation kwa ground ilikuwa different. I used to have like maybe 6 bank accounts. All of a sudden the bank accounts were empty. I'm like, aya, pesa iko. Do ilienda. And I had to face my reality.
Yeah.
Was it easy? It was hectic. It was horrible. I used to cry to God every second. I used to wake up with tears in my eyes and I'm like, God, I'm not used to not having. God, I want a pair of shoes. But then God had to teach me. And the truth is, Monene, I have learned to survive on bare minimum. When I talk about bare minimum, I mean bare minimum, I had to cut down on my lifestyle. Instead of going to look for goat cheese and Greek yogurt, I'm like, yogurt X, cheese X, pika rice na dengu kula. I had to cut back on so many luxuries that I was used to. I had to stop buying stuff, shoes and handbags, etc. And I had to learn to appreciate all what I have. And one of the biggest lessons I learned in that season is content. Contentment doesn't mean you don't want better or you don't want, but it means appreciating what you have. And I had to appreciate what God has given me. And anytime he would give me money, I would tell God, God, how do you want us to spend this money? Now I began asking God for permission. God, I'm paying my rent. Nimetoa tithe. I'm sorting this out, And I've had to live in with the bare minimum. I've had to be content. I have seen God opening up doors for me. But even in that, the lessons I have learned about money and how, the other thing I would say before I finish, this is something I encourage parents to do. Start teaching your children about money when they are young. I always say, and I'm not saying this to dishonor my dad. I loved my dad. In fact, on the 2nd of this month, I was just honoring him because my dad passed away 12 years ago on the 2nd of March. So it's always just a memorial day for me. I eat cake on that day just in his honor. And I remember when I was going through this journey, I realized I had gotten bad money habits from my late dad. My dad was, we make it rain. Tukule. My kids have to be rolling, So, but he never showed us the multiplying part. He never showed us the investing part. He never showed us the saving part. So I grew up knowing we get money, let's go. Tuanguke Mombasa. Let's go to Dubai. Let's do the thing, because I knew it would always be there. Yeah. And so I tell parents when I'm even doing mentorship, train your kids about money at a young age. Start teaching them to work for the money. Let them wash your car. Let them mop the house. They won't die. See watafanya kazi, and you give them an allowance. And when you give them an allowance, break it down for them. Tell them this percent do this. This percent do this. Hapa jinunulie, When you teach your children about money, they will grow up with that mindset. But when parents fail to do it, when parents are hiding even money issues from their children, when those children grow up, they will be taught by life. And in my case, I was taught by life. So that is what I would consider my failure/learning story. I'm better off today. I paid most of my debt. I just have one remaining that I'm trusting God to help me to clear. And it was a very painful learning. That one cost a lot, and the tears I have shed, God knows. But it's been a journey, and one that I appreciate. I had the opportunity to go through so that I can help other people to avoid, or if someone is in that situation, I help them come out of it. Yeah.
Thank you for that. I'm sure there's
Now
a
I
lot of
see.
people who learn from this, about especially financing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big.
Now I see why Alice was like, we have to listen to
You have to
Joanne's
listen
doctrine.
I listened to my banker. She was a good friend when she was in KCB, a wonderful, amazing lady. She knows about bad habits. And I'm
Actually,
like, I need to swipe.
Alice really advises us on how to, be focused. Yeah, we've crossed good parts with her. Really a great mentor as well. And even now, when she said you have to listen to your doctrines, I was like, I really can't wait. I can't wait. And I'm saying, even right now, as you're saying, bare minimum. Yesterday, I was listening to a book called Millionaires Next Door, and they were like, all these millionaires are living under bare minimum.
Yes.
They're not the ones who are living in the posh estates,
No.
They're the ones living in
But
the
many times when you find those ones, not always, but in many cases, when you find people who are too
flashy.
investigate a little bit more, not many people who I have known and even I have read about, the Warren Buffett, the people who hold true wealth, you would be very surprised by their lifestyle. Very simple, because also they don't have a point to prove. So that thing of insecurity where we want to prove to the whole world, now I'm making it rain.
Yeah.
Chunguza.
The good thing you're on the other side, now you're in true wealth.
Hey, I thank God. First of all, true wealth of knowledge. The true wealth of knowledge. That is the first one. Then this I'm slowly building. It's a day by day journey. I'm slowly now building myself up from where I was, from my rock bottom experience. I am building myself up day by day. Am I there yet? Not yet. Am I perfect all the time? No. But I give myself room for learning every day. Even when I make a mistake and I'm like, Joan, you shouldn't have bought that. I interrogate that situation. I pick up the lessons from it. I forgive myself and I'm like, next time, do better. And then I hold myself accountable and next time I intend to do better. Yeah.
Wow. That comparison has been seen. Now, actually, I know someone who is destined for true wealth and someone who's actually not destined for true wealth. So any moment I'll see someone out there, oh, Dubai, oh, I don't know where. That guy, nothing, nothing. Yeah. So thank you so much, Joanne. I'm really grateful. At Youth Mentors MVCs, we really aim to be a bridge between mentors and mentees. Help them at some point get finance for their businesses. But I believe this knowledge really going to be helpful. We are coming up with a studio in our town, a big studio, where now we'll be, where we'll be doing this interviews mega. We intend even to have a setup by the beach, inshallah. Yeah, so we'll secure a good budget where we fly you guys. You just come to the studio. If you are outside the country, you might do it online, but on a live studio, you know. So this is just the beginning, and we hope one day, even on our events, because we intend to come up with events as well, magazine for Youth Mentors MVC and a global magazine as well. So we hope you'll be there for us just anytime we need you, you know.
100%, 100%. I'm really excited by the work you're doing. And not just the vision you guys have. You know, to be honest, I was thinking about it. I wasn't quite sure who I'm meeting. But then when you guys came on call, I'm like, these guys are so young and yet they're doing this phenomenal big thing. I was so impressed. I'm like, wow. Then future generations have hope.
Yeah.
I pray for you guys, and I will be there if you need me to talk about something, to write about something, to whatever. I would be happy to just work together.
Me, I'm really looking at since I have a factory that need workers who need to be sharpened. I just secure you for 5 days, like proper budgets,
And
full training, sharpen them.
And we train them on anything, because I'm also a certified trainer. So we come and do a needs analysis. What areas do you want us to focus on? We even do things to do with etiquette, finances, whatnot. You know, we'll do the work. We'll do the work. I would be excited.
All right. Me myself, I want to thank you for your time, Joanne.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming through for us. Actually, when Alice commented, we were like, hey, she never comments on anyone. So we were like, hey, this favor that we've seen, wacha tuitumie kabisa. So me myself, I thank you. And I actually thank you for all those people who, when you waliona post yako wakasema, hey, this looks good. There are some young guys over here who are doing big things.
100%.
We want to at the end of the day, we see like this generation has actually realized Africa needs to be a superpower. And we are really tired. So we're trying to build bridges not only for the mentors, but also for the young guys who are doing business. We want to link the young guys doing business with the experienced people in the industry to come together, to mesh together, so that not necessarily even for financing, but also that mentoring is important. Hiyo kuonyesha mtu hii njia yenye unapita, there's an easier way. Wacha unatumia njia there's an easier way. So for that, we thank you. And hopefully very soon you'll be seeing a lot of young guys there. Utakuwa tu unaangalia this one anafanya kitu yenye mi napenda. Ebu Shak Munene, give me this guy's number. Give me this guy's number. Because at what we're trying to do, we're trying to paint the picture that we are no longer local. Tumezoea kuitwa local sa. So you're local ipotee. We are international. We are international standard people.
100%.
Yeah. So thank you for your time. Hopefully again and again, we'll engage again and again. This is not the last time. There'll be a big studio in Watamu and there'll be a big studio in Nairobi. Utakuja Nairobi, alafu saa mimi nawapandisha ndege mwenyewe na kupeleka Watamu na kuambia ndio huyu Shak wanakuja.
Ngojea watu.
prepare the yogurt na kila kitu waekea vizuri bana. Hey, royal
Yeah.
treatment.
I
Yeah,
look forward.
that's the
I
thing.
look forward to it.
So,
Yeah.
Joan, if you have anything that you want us to share on our platform towards your work or mentorship, just let me know and I'll be able to do that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
will do that.
Mm.
Shaq, do that. Yeah, but mine is really just to thank you so much, guys. And well done. Congratulations. If
Thank you.
nobody has ever told you guys are amazing, I am telling you today. You guys are
Thank
amazing.
you.
You're doing amazing, amazing work. Keep
Mm.
at it. Sometimes you say whatever the cost, you have to, if you know where you're going, you know the vision that you have. Sometimes
Mm.
vision will be costly, but if you put your hand at it, the Bible says, don't, once you put your hand on the plow, don't turn back. So go
Mm.
for it, go at it. And me, I'm just here to support you, to pray for you. I will definitely pray for you guys.
Mm.
And yeah, I'm here when you need to call me. Just tell me, Joanna, we want to do this, for guidance, to train, to speak, to share, to write. I am all for it because I believe in empowering people who are coming after us, That's really
Mm.
what legacy is about. That when we
Yeah.
leave, because we won't stay here forever. When we leave, what will people say? Will we have a footprint in this place, in that place? What will people say about us? Yeah. And we have to begin building that now. We don't want people lying at funerals that alikuwa hivi na hivi, and yet it was a lie. No. We want people to actually speak the truth and say, you know what, this person, I just had one interaction with them and my life changed completely.
Mm. Mm.
That's what we're
Mm.
talking about. Yeah, but I'm excited for you guys. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much. We'll leave it at that. Have a wonderful day and catch up soon. Yeah.
Yes.
Catch up soon. Catch up soon.
All right.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Bless
All right.
you.
Bye.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.